What up, sports fans and fellow foodies? I'm Julie, and welcome to my kitchen, where each week I talk sports while whipping up culinary creations. Happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day to all the strong women out there. You don't have to have given birth to a child to be celebrated on Mother's Day, and I'm thinking of all of you and sending you all love and appreciating you for all you contribute to the world by just being amazing women. All right, so today I wanted to have my mom Mary with me, but she is visiting my sister, so happy Mother's Day to my mom, and hopefully they're having a great day together. But I'm gonna make something that we made growing up, that my mom introduced us to, and that some of you have probably encountered along the way as well, and that is Eclair cake. And what is a staple in making Eclair cake? Graham crackers. And there's our sports tie-in for the week. The Bulls just hired a new executive. He is Bryson Graham, and he is the new executive VP of basketball operations. He's going to be the man in charge of the latest Bulls resurgence. Rebuild? Resurgence? Well, we'll think optimistically. We'll say resurgence. Yes, we have seen this before, where the Bulls are trying to get back up to glory days, and it falls short. This is the guy they have tasked with taking over and getting things moving in the right direction. He's going to have a draft on his hands. He's going to have to find a new head coach. But he's got a grinder mentality, and he's a guy who started from humble beginnings. He played at Texas A&M. He was a graduate assistant. He went to work for the New Orleans Pelicans as an intern, and then spent 15 years working his way through the NBA chains, working his way up the ladder. He worked for the Atlanta Hawks as well. But this is a guy who started out at a very low level and worked his way up. And so we're gonna do some of those building block things today, a very simple dessert, but that hits just the right note of nostalgia. So what I'm starting with today, we have a box of graham crackers. You're gonna use the entire box. If you break some, don't even worry about it. It's okay, we're gonna patch them all together. You've got 2 boxes of vanilla pudding. These are the 3.5 ounce size, 3.4 ounce size. So I've got 2 of those in vanilla. We've got some Cool Whip, an 8-ounce container of Cool Whip. Make sure it's defrosted. You know, you find Cool Whip in the freezer section. Leave it in your fridge overnight so it's gonna be soft for you. I also have 3 cups of milk. I'm using 2% because I want it to be a little bit richer, but you can use skim, you can use vitamin D, whatever milk you wanna use. You can use milk alternatives. So those are our basics. Those are our building blocks for today. We're gonna start working on this, and we're gonna start with our pudding, just pouring it into a metal bowl. This is just like being back in my kitchen growing up. Same type of metal bowl my mom would use, same type of whisks we had, same spatulas, just the same basics. All right, so we've got that in our bowl right there, and we're gonna go ahead, pour all our milk in, and we're gonna whisk it. And just that pudding creaminess, that smell of the vanilla, all that takes me back. Got that nostalgia already built in. So as we're getting ready to do our graham cracker dessert here, we're gonna think a little bit about what direction the Bulls are headed. This guy is a guy who lives in scouting reports, who's a grinder, who loves scouting players, targeting guys who are maybe a sleeper, kind of a defensive-minded guy. He's gonna be looking for some hidden gems, some diamonds in the rough for the Bulls. All right, you see I'm whisking this. It's already starting to thicken, as we know pudding mix does. And then we're gonna switch from a whisk to a spatula so we can fold in our Cool Whip. But this is already getting a little bit thicker for us, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Got my graham crackers ready to go. I have a 9x13 pan. You can make it in 2 smaller ones, 2 8x8 pans. I'm doing the 9x13 because everyone loves this one. My neighbors are already asking me if there's gonna be some that I can share. Of course there is. Do they not know me? Well, that's why they asked, because they do. So I'm gonna go ahead and take our pudding mixture here, which again, you can see is thickening up. We're gonna take our 8 ounces of Cool Whip and fold it right in. Just gonna set it here just for now. You can see I've got a dish towel underneath so that my glass pan is not sliding. I'm using glass so you can see the layers come together. However, you can use a metal pan as well. It's up to you. We're pretty flexible here, right? All right, we got that folded in, and the first little batch, you're gonna kind of be smushy with it. You wanna get some of the base where it's working the pudding and the Cool Whip together. So you are kind of stirring it to get that base looking kind of like that. Then you are going to be able to fold this in, and it's going to be incorporated nicely. That Cool Whip, nice and soft, easy to work with. Now here's some of the beauty of the versatility of this dessert. You can do sugar-free varieties. You can use sugar-free pudding. You can use no sugar added Cool Whip. You can do anything that's got a low sugar content. You can change out the dairy to make this more dairy friendly. If you can't tolerate dairy, you can find some alternatives as well. You can change the flavors on this. You can use different flavor puddings. I've seen people make it with chocolate, with pistachio. Pistachio is very big right now because of the Dubai chocolate trend. But you can go ahead and change the flavors on this. Change the flavors on the graham crackers. I'm just using simple honey grahams. You can use cinnamon, you can use chocolate grahams. Whatever you're feeling like that day, you're still gonna get the same effect. So we've got this nice and incorporated. I got a few little lumps in there, but that's okay. That's all right. Those imperfections are what make it seem more homemade, right? Okay, so once we've got all this incorporated and mixed together, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of a layer on the bottom, just so our graham crackers do not slide around. So scoop a little bit in here. Y'all know I love my offset spatulas. They work so great for so many things. I'm just spreading this in the bottom here. And again, that's gonna keep our graham crackers from moving around too much as we're assembling. All right, so this is great for somebody who's anal retentive and super perfectionist like me. And I say great sarcastically because I want all the graham crackers to line up absolutely perfectly, no spaces in between. Yeah, right. Life does not work like that, right? But you can at least kind of approximate it. I'm using the full crackers if they're intact, and this is a great batch. This box came with hardly any breakage, which we love. So what I did is I've got full graham crackers in here. And I'm gonna see, can I squish these in on the edge? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, I can squeeze one in there. But if you can't fit them in, and this is where your broken ones come in handy, you're gonna go ahead, I use a serrated knife. I'm just gonna cut them down a little bit smaller so that they fit in our spaces where we need them to fit. And if you have those broken ones, don't snack on them. I know you want to, but you're gonna use pretty much all of these. So resist the urge to eat the crackers till you're done. I know, easier said than done. So there's our base. Again, all that's gonna get filled in really nicely. And you're gonna take about half the mixture here, pour it in, and we're gonna spread it over. Now I know some people like this a little bit firmer. Some people don't like it when it gets soggy. They don't like the crackers to get soggy. But that's kind of how I like it. I like it to sit in the fridge and soften up and get soggy. Your crackers soften. But you can adjust the time it spends in the fridge based on how firm you like those crackers. All right, so we spread that out. We're gonna add another layer of crackers here. And depending on what kind of pan you're using, I used a metal pan when I made our already finished one that I'll show you in a bit. And I used more crackers. They're both 9x13 pans. It just depends on if they've got that curve or if they've got sharp corners on the edges. Again, this is fitting in here pretty perfectly. We like that. It's okay if you've got some space along the edges. It's okay if we're smushing it a little. So you see I've got some edges there. That again, part of me is saying fill that in. Do not leave spaces. These are brilliant for filling in your spaces. These are graham sticks. I love these because they're like a quick grab from the pantry if you just want to snack on some graham crackers and you don't want to open a whole package. They're little guys, but they also come in perfect for filling in those spaces on the edges. They also come in perfect if you like giving your dogs graham crackers to snack on. I'm surprised mine are not in here hearing the cookie box. But yeah, you can take these and fill in your spaces along the edge there. And you got some broken ones there. Now there you can snack on some. If you need a cookie snack, you can snack on some of these because we don't necessarily need all these that I've got in my hand here. Like I said, this was one growing up that was fun to make with Mom. Here's our layer. This was fun to make with Mom growing up. It was easy, it was delicious. This was a big potluck type dessert that people could bring. You'll still see it showing up from time to time. And when I mention it to people, even if they don't know it as eclair cake, as soon as I start saying, you know, with the graham crackers and the pudding filling, everyone goes, oh, I know that one. All right, yes you do. And right now you're sitting there watching, and maybe you're having some nostalgic memories of your own, making this with your family growing up, with mom, with grandma, with your aunties. Maybe you're having some of those throwback moments as well. All right, so we're gonna smooth our second layer of our pudding filling here. So we've got graham cracker, custard filling, graham cracker, custard filling. We're gonna finish it with a little bit more grahams on top. And you can like lick the spoon later, and those are my humble beginnings. Humble beginnings for Bryson Graham were of him being an intern and doing scouting reports and stuff like that. My humble beginnings were like licking the beaters and licking the spatulas and stuff in the kitchen, cooking with mom or grandma. Cooking or baking, I should say. All right, so here's our top layer. I'm getting to the end here. I'm gonna just do this. Fill in our big spaces here. And then we might even be able to go this size along the edge. Again, we're not being fancy. If it cracks, I'm not gonna make any cheesy jokes about that's the way the cookie crumbles, but you know I'm thinking it. Love food puns. So we've got a couple crackers left, which I didn't have for my metal pan. So that tells you just be flexible. If you've got crackers at the end, you can eat them, but if not, well, you know, if you got some spaces in there of just pudding and no crackers, that's okay too. So I'm gonna finish off my last edge here with a couple more of these, just so we have a nice base for our chocolate topping. And if you want, you can throw this back in your fridge to set up a little before you put the topping on, or you can just roll with it, which is what I'm gonna do. I went ahead, I softened it a little bit in the microwave, but you're just using a can of standard frosting that you find at the grocery store in the baking aisle. Again, you can use sugar-free varieties. You can use different kinds of the chocolates. If you want a dark chocolate, if you want a milk chocolate. I'm going with a classic Hershey's chocolate. You can see how I soften this a little. We're gonna spread this right on the top. Use the entire container, because you don't wanna be skimpy. You never wanna be skimpy on frosting, do ya? No, not in this household. Okay, so I've got my chocolate right there. Gonna spread it. You wanna get it to the edges so it clings to the glass or the metal on the edge, and that seals it off. And then you can always work on the middle after that. But go ahead and get those edges sealed off so that you're not mixing your pudding in with your chocolate. And I went right up to the top here on this one. Different depth of pans will give you different height to your dessert. You'll see, we're just working this all the way in, and we did need every little bit of chocolate in there. And once you get it all spread out, you can go ahead and be fancy with your spatula, with your offset spatula. Now you can just do big sweeping strokes. You could do something a little bit fancier where you do a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle like that. It gives you some pretty little swirlies. You can go ahead and do that when you're frosting brownies. Just makes it look a little bit fancier. All right, so once you've got that all covered, you're gonna go ahead, put that in your fridge, let that set for a few hours or overnight. I let mine set overnight. That just makes sure it's nice and smushy. Here's the one I made yesterday. It sat overnight. And I'm gonna go ahead and use a bench scraper. I've talked about these before. These are great for cutting. I'm gonna use it here to loosen up my edges. And you can see that you got that pudding that's hiding inside there. And I'm going to go ahead and use a spatula to get some of this up so that we can try a piece and see how our layers look. First piece always comes out messy. Always. It's okay. And you know what? Mom usually takes the messy piece, doesn't she? Mom always takes the one, look at how pretty that is. Mom always takes the one that looks like a hot mess and lets everybody else have the pretty pieces with the layers and the ones that come out nice. But this came out pretty well. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a fork here. Try a little bit. You can see how that just went right through my graham crackers, which are now soft. Oh my goodness, so nostalgic. Tastes just like we used to have it with Mom. Now, I'm gonna bring in my babies just for a little, their first appearance on my sports cooking videos here on Play by Plate. These little guys, They're usually pretty quiet while we're filming. This is Foo. Say hi, Foo. Say hi to the peeps. Mwah. They love being in the kitchen while Mama's cooking and baking. This one is Moki. Say hi, Moki. They're like, where's the food, Mama? We know this is where you're making the good stuff. So we'll give them a little bit of our graham cookies. One to Moki and one to Foo. And I'm gonna step away from the camera for a second and grab the OG. This is Wicket. He's the old man of the group, the OG. And he gets cookie too. Yes, he does. These are my fur babies. And I just love them to pieces. Talk about them all the time. Always have a dog mom t-shirt or hat lying around. And again, if you're a dog mom, a fur baby mom, just an amazing woman to the people in your life that you're nurturing. If you're just feeling like you should be celebrated too, absolutely, we're celebrating you today. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you back here next time in my kitchen.